From Charlotte, North Carolina, this is Democracy Now! Breaking with Convention, War, Peace, and the Presidency. We're broadcasting from the Democratic National Convention inside and out.
We don't think the government can solve all of our problems, but we don't think that the government is the source of all of our problems, any more than our welfare recipients or corporations or unions or immigrants or gays or any other group we're told to blame for our troubles.
President Obama accepts the Democratic nomination in Charlotte, asking voters for 4 more years. We host a debate on the Obama presidency with Glenn Ford of Black Agenda Report and Michael Eric Dyson, professor at Georgetown University.
If you think it's rough now, what's it going to be like under Romney and Ryan? It's like that old R&B song, if you think you're lonely now, wait until the night. If you think it's rough under Obama and Biden, try Romney and Ryan to see how extremely difficult and complicated and nightmarish our future can be.
All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. We're broadcasting from Charlotte, North Carolina. President Obama accepted the Democratic presidential nomination Thursday night in a lengthy speech closing out the Democratic convention. Obama argued he's rescued the economy from disaster and planted the seeds for a continued recovery. He vowed to create 1 million new manufacturing jobs by 2016 and to double exports by 2014. On foreign policy, Obama highlighted the killing of Osama bin Laden, the withdrawal of troops from Iraq, and the planned drawdown from Afghanistan. In a theme he touched on throughout his speech, Obama said the change he promised 4 years ago would take time, but is surely underway.
Our problems can be solved. Our challenges can be met. The path we offer may be harder, but it leads to a better place, and I'm asking you to choose that future.
We'll have more from President Obama's speech after headlines and host a debate. At least 50 people have been killed in a pair of earthquakes in southwestern China. The Chinese government says the quakes damaged thousands of buildings, displacing some 20,000 people. The United Nations Food Agency says global prices have stabilized at levels near those of the 2008 crisis that sparked unrest across the globe. The head of the Food and Agriculture Organization, David Hallam, said international action could prevent a crisis, in part by addressing the harsh impact of the recent U.S. drought.
There is a risk of more price increases, but at the moment there is no evidence to suggest that that is an inevitability. The very sharp reduction in U.S. production because of the drought, the worst drought for 50 years, we are told, has had a major impact on both stock levels and on prices. The overall global stock-to-use ratio has fallen to a historic low of just over 13%. In the U.S., it's significantly lower than that.
More than 100 striking miners in South Africa have been released from jail after they were arrested during the killings of their colleagues. Dozens of miners were initially charged for the murders, despite the fact the victims were in fact shot dead by police. The slain miners were killed more than a week after walking off the job at the Marikana Platinum Mine in a call for higher pay. Despite their release, many of the miners still face charges and are due to appear in court early next year. For a discussion with the South African ambassador to the United States, you can go to our website at democracynow.org. In Israel and the occupied territories, 6 Palestinians have been killed in a pair of Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. The victims include 3 civilians, 2 of them brothers, struck by an Israeli tank shell. Israel says it was targeting militants planning attacks. The vice chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral James Winfield, visited Israel Thursday amidst ongoing talk of military action against Iran. Winnefeld met with Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak just days after the top U.S. military official, General Martin Dempsey, said he doesn't want to be complicit in an Israeli attack. Barak said the U.S. and Israel share the same goals but are now on different timetables.
Today I met with Admiral Winfield, Vice Chairman of the U.S. Joint Chief of Staff, along with the American ambassador. We discussed the situation in the region and, of course, talked about Iran. We are facing a joint challenge, but our clocks are ticking in different tempos. We have differences between us. Israel is maintaining its right to make sovereign decisions, and the United States respects that.
President Obama has publicly disclosed what he says are his administration's criteria for carrying out drone strikes and targeted assassinations abroad. Obama spoke to CNN in some of his most extensive comments on the drone attacks to date.
It has to be a target that is authorized by our laws. It has to be a threat that is serious and not speculative. It has to be a situation in which we can't capture the individual before they move forward on some sort of operational plot against the United States. And this is an example of where I think there's been some misreporting. Our preference is always to capture if we can, because we can gather intelligence. But a lot of the terrorist networks that target the United States, the most dangerous ones, operate in very remote regions, and it's very difficult to capture them. And we've got to make sure that in whatever operations we conduct, we are very careful about avoiding civilian casualties.
President Obama's comments come days after at least 11 civilians were killed in a U.S. drone strike in Yemen, including 3 children. And Republican vice presidential nominee Paul Ryan addressed supporters in Colorado Thursday ahead of President Obama's acceptance speech here in Charlotte. Ryan said the Republican ticket would welcome a debate over Medicare, despite Ryan's own support for turning it into a voucher program.
You see, President Obama can give great speeches. He can blame other people in the past, but he can't tell you we are better off as a nation. I love this debate about Medicare. By the way, this debate about Medicare is a debate we want. It's a debate we're going to have, and it's a debate we're going to win about Medicare.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm